Hi, welcome to Kaylee's Rockin' Reviews, where you'll see me drinking tea, talking about books, and rocking in my chair. Today I'm going to do a review of The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. You all probably already know, but this is the prequel to the Hunger Games trilogy. I was a little nervous about picking this up. One, because I really enjoyed the Hunger Games, and two, because it's actually been a minute since I read the series. But I figured I'd pick it up and see what the hype was about. So, prequels are either hit or miss for me, I think. I really like when prequels build up more of the world that we haven't really been able to see in the original books, either because the main storyline has been going in a direction where it wouldn't make sense to see the rest of the world as a whole, or because there just isn't enough time to get into all that world building. But I really don't like the character origin story aspect of them. I am kind of tired of origin stories. So I knew this book was going to be Snow's origin story, but I thought maybe we might get a little more into the world of Panem rather than just talking about Snow, which we did get a little bit of that. We got to see how the Hunger Games evolved from being this basically just Colosseum battles into the games that it became in the trilogy. But as it turns out, we get a lot more about Coriolanus than I would have liked. He really wasn't that interesting of a character for me, and I really would have enjoyed seeing more from the perspectives of some of the other characters in the book. Coriolanus himself is supposed to be this charming guy, which I imagine if we had seen him from someone else's point of view rather than seen the inner workings of his mind, we would have gotten a little bit more of that. But really, we just see the oily car salesman that he is on the inside. He thinks himself as being charming, and the rest of the capital, it seems, thinks of him as being charming. But he's really just conniving. And this is one of the things I did like about having his origin story. I thought he was gonna end up trying to be this sympathetic character, and Suzanne Collins was going to try and get us to really feel for him and understand where he was coming from. But I don't think that's what she was trying to do. I think she was trying to show us that he has kind of been bad from the start, even though he really plays it off as him being good. Like, we see that he had a hard life when the war started, that he did struggle with hunger, and the rest of his family struggled with hunger, and that he's struggling with being poor. But it's really hard to feel sympathetic for him, because instead of just moving out of their giant penthouse, the Snows stay there and pretend like they're still rich so they can keep their status, when really this penthouse has got to be expensive to maintain, and their extravagant lifestyle is also money-sucking. So really, if they had just initially moved into a smaller place and lived within their means, then they probably still would have struggled, but they wouldn't have had to make some of the sacrifices that they did. And by they, I mean everyone but Coriolanus. Like, even in his poverty, he's living a privileged life. It's his cousin who lives with him that is making all of the sacrifices for the family, even though Coriolanus gets all of the praise for keeping the family afloat. And so seeing Coriolanus reap the rewards from everybody else's hard work and sacrifice really makes him an unsympathetic character, which is a positive change to other prequels in which the villain from the main series is the main character. But that's only entertaining for so long. This book did not have to be as long as it was. I think this book has 500 some pages. 517 pages. And I think we could have done with half of that. Because it just sort of meanders and kills time throughout this. Like the first part showing how the Hunger Games has changed was great. And then the last little bit of the book was interesting. But all of the middle part, mostly where the Hunger Games are actually taking place, is so boring. Like, Coriolanus is not in the games, so we're seeing the games on television just like everybody else is. Except half of the time, the tributes are hiding. And we just see maybe one or two of them walking back and forth on the field, not doing anything really. So it's just really long and drawn out. And it really didn't have to be. I think this may have been somewhat fixable if, one, it was pared down a bit, and two, if it was from someone else's perspective, or even like a shifting perspectives. I don't always love that, but I feel like this book would have benefited from that, from seeing what was going on from someone else's viewpoint, just so we can get some variety in there, and especially from some more interesting characters. Like, I would have loved to see more of Tigris, Coriolanus's cousin. Like, she did so much for the family, and we really could have gotten a better look at capital life rather than just this second-hand view of the Hunger Games. Like, I would have loved that. I want to see what the capital was like. I don't want the whole thing to be Coriolanus judging other people for doing things out of desperation and then talking about, oh, woe is me, how poor I am, I can't let anybody know, when he has not been driven as far as other people have by their poverty. He even goes so far as to judge his cousin when she tells him that there are things that she has had to do to keep the family afloat that he doesn't want to know about. And instead of being grateful to her, he judges her and just tries not to think about it anymore because the facts of life are too disquieting for him. Another character I think I, as a reader, would have benefited from is Sejanus. Like, this is such an interesting character. He came from District 2 to live in the capital because his family was so wealthy. So, like, instead of getting a secondhand exposure to Sejanus's move from District 2 up to the capital, we could have been able to see what that was really like for him. And we just were deprived of that. And that could have been so much more interesting than what we got. So all in all, I gave this book a 2-star rating on Goodreads. It was just okay for me. I liked parts of it, but they were just buried under a bunch of nothing, pretty much. And I really would have liked those to be pushed to the forefront rather than just being scattered few and far between in the rest of the many pages that did not have to be in this book. I really wanted to like this more. I did. But, you know, it is what it is. I like the tea, so there's a plus. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed my review. I post videos every Saturday, and time allowing, I try and get some up in the middle of the week. If you like the video, click subscribe and watch more. In the meantime, stay happy, stay healthy, and rock on.